brought my coffee cup.
All right,
Not a fun one,
cheers.
just a boring
No,
one.
it's a great color. Are you kidding me?
Cheers.
Was there a story behind your mug, the yellow mug?
No, there's no story. I just like the color.
And this one is, we got this one our Pacific Northwest journeys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we actually on that trip we did, it was like a big circle around like Washington, Oregon. We went to Yellowstone. It was an amazing trip. Well, thank you officially. Cheers for coming on to Coffee and UFOs. This is Jessica
Cheers.
Freeburg. She is author of Monsters of the Midwest, co-author with Natalie Fowler, who did an episode with us earlier. So I'm going to just jump right to it. Go to the first question. Have you seen a UFO?
Okay, I've seen something that I can identify, so I think by definition that makes it a UFO.
Sure. Yeah.
When I was younger, much younger, I think I was probably about 8 years old, maybe 9. I was outside playing at night and just kind of throwing a ball up against the side of the house. And the ball went bouncing off into the grass, and I ran after it and picked it up. And I just kind of started looking up at the sky. It was a really beautiful, clear night, and I was looking at the stars. And something caught my eye, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I can't remember like definitively the shape of it or anything, but I remember seeing something and thinking, what is that? And just as soon as I saw it, a light shot down out of it to the ground. And this was probably a couple farms over. So it was probably a good mile or so away in another field, quite a ways off. But I saw this light come out of this thing. It just shot straight down to the ground, it looked like, from my perception. And shortly after it came down, it looked like something started to kind of go up. And I can only describe it as almost being like glittery. It looks sparkly. So whatever was going up was kind of shimmering as it went up to the sky. Quickly as it started, the light went back up and it was gone.
That was definitely a UFO.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unidentified
I was like,
something.
did someone die and they went to heaven? I just didn't know what it was. So It was weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if a human body is flying through the air fast enough, it's an unidentified flying object, I suppose. So the same could be said of a spirit. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty cool. I don't know what it was, but it was pretty wild.
Have you seen a cryptid or ghost?
Okay, I've never seen a cryptid, which makes me really want to go squatching and find Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But I've definitely
just the name
seen
squatching just
ghosts.
sounds fun.
I know it does. I think I have to do it. It's on my bucket list for sure. But yeah, I definitely have seen ghosts, multiple ghosts throughout my lifetime. So
that's a normal occurrence for you?
A specific story. I wouldn't say it's a normal occurrence, but as long as I can remember looking back in my childhood, I definitely would randomly see spirits, people that weren't necessarily there or that other people weren't seeing. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. So it looked like real people to you, or?
Yeah, a lot of times, and sometimes it wouldn't be quite as solid of a figure. It might be like a shadowy shape. I've seen shadowy figures before. One of my favorite stories from my childhood, seeing a ghost, was when I was at my dad's farm, and we had only so many opportunities to watch TV. He actually gave us marbles, and we had, I think it was 6 or 7 marbles a week, and we had to turn in a marble every time we watched a TV program. And I had turned in one of my marbles because I was going to watch a show, and so I was totally engrossed in the television, because it was my one show for the day. And my dad was out farming, and my stepmom was upstairs, and this was an older house. I think it was well over 100 years old even back then, and this was like 30 years ago probably. And she was upstairs. She was doing calligraphy and painting and working on her art up there. And so it was just the two of us in the house. And this space, the way the room is set up, I'm going to down so I can use my hands. The way the room is set up is like a square. The TV was right in front of me, and there was another room off to my right. And it was a big open space into this other big family room. And right in front of this room was a hallway that went to a bathroom.
Okay.
So I was sitting here watching the television, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a woman walk in from the other living room next to the den where I was watching TV. And she didn't come across my vision. She just kind of came in the side and then turned and walked to the hallway. So she never passed through the room. She just came into the edge of the room and walked into the hallway, which would have been, right beside where the TV was.
Right.
So I saw her come in, and I saw her walk into the hallway, and I saw the door to the bathroom come open. I could see the edge of the door, and then heard it close. And I figured it was my stepmom. That's the most logical thing. We're out on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and we're the only two people in the house, and it was a lady. And she never came out and never came out. And so I went and knocked on the door and hollered in, like, "Are you okay?" And nobody answered. So I opened the door and looked inside, and it was empty, but the light was on. So I went upstairs to my stepmom, where she was sitting at her desk where I'd left her, earlier when I went down to watch TV. And I said, "How did you sneak back up here from going to the bathroom?" And she said, "I haven't left this spot."
Wow.
Time. And it really creeped me out because I knew what I had seen. There was no doubt. It wasn't like, like maybe I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Like, I totally saw a full apparition, full body, walk through the space and go in that bathroom. I saw the door open, I saw it close. Many years later, fast forward probably 20 years, my husband and I bought our first house, and we found out that the person who had owned it before us had committed suicide in the house. And I really didn't want to live there because I knew I had kind of a propensity to see things.
Okay, sure.
And I had already started to see things in that house. And then it made sense what I was seeing and who it was and what was going on. And I called my stepmom, and I was very upset. And I said, "I just can't live here. I can't live in a house where something really tragic like that has happened." And she said, "Oh, Jess, people die in houses all the time. You know that old house we used to live in out on the farm? Somebody died in that bathroom downstairs." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I saw that person go in there and never come out."
Which only proves your point.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had no idea that it happened until that moment, like 20 years after the fact.
Yeah, and yes, people die in homes, but maybe we just try not to live in homes where people died.
Yeah.
If
they die peacefully, I'm cool with it.
yeah. I mean, if you're sensitive like yourself to that, it's kind of like the door is open.
Yeah.
To whatever might be there. So yeah, I mean, how do you know going into it? How would you possibly even know before you purchase a house whether it's a safe place to go if there is a ghost? Do you know?
It's hard to know because some states, they have to tell you if someone is murdered or commits suicide or dies in a tragic manner.
Okay.
They don't have to tell you if someone just passes away. But the funny thing with that house that we purchased that the woman committed suicide in is I actually asked, like,
about a ghost.
specifically multiple times, has anyone died in this house? Because we knew that it had been a home that was for sale that was, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but the person had passed away, and they said, "No, she got sick, she went to the hospital, she passed away." And so I asked again at closing, and they flat out lied. We found out later the realtor who was selling us the house, who said no, was the woman's cousin. so they ended up having to buy the house back.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But
see, well, that's the thing, is you took the initiative to ask. The states might require you to be told if someone was murdered or suicide, but I don't. Maybe there's an exception somewhere, but not many states, or if any, require the realtor to or owner to reveal to you whether a place is actually haunted by a ghost, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
Reported hauntings,
Probably not. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. There might be some, but I know they can't lie to you about it if you ask. So the fact that she lied, we were able to get it get it bought back by the company that sold it to us. But
Yeah.
it was kind of embarrassing. So I was like, no, I can't live in this house. I'm seeing this woman standing in my bedroom at night. I cannot live here. So
Yeah. I mean, I guess ghosts need to live somewhere. But do they have to stay in the homes? Can they, like, I don't know. It seems like if there's this whole ethereal world out there, why do they have to stay in that spot?
I wouldn't think they would have to.
Hmm.
I don't know why some of them do and why others seem to go on to the, happily ever after other
Yeah,
side or
yeah,
what. I don't know how it works exactly. It's fascinating,
it
but
is. It is.
definitely a mystery.
So we'll wrap up with last question and a half. So what does the future of paranormal investigations look like, and or what would you change about it?
Well, um, the one thing I would like to see changed is that we kind of take some of the fear out of it. I feel like
Okay.
some of the television shows that we have make it look extremely scary. Part of the reason I wrote the first book that I wrote, which was about a girl that could see spirits, which then led to me forming the group Ghost Stories Inc., which led to, all the stuff that I do in the paranormal world, was because my children were starting to notice things. And I just felt like there needed to be a less terrifying way to explain it than what I grew up with. Well, if it doesn't have angels' wings, then it's a demon, So I just, for me, I
Right.
wanted to kind of take that fear away a little bit. And that's why a lot of times we'll do events and we invite families to bring their teenagers along, because there's something really empowering about kind of embracing the dark and embracing your fear of the unknown and going to a dark basement that's supposed to be haunted
Sure.
and communicating with the spirit. You ask a spirit to come and make your K2 meter light up, and it does. Well, that's kind of like, wow, you can't believe that happened. But
Mhm.
also you asked them to, and that was very nice of them to come do it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So I don't find it particularly scary. So I do kind of wish we'd take some of the fear away from it so that we don't have to be so afraid of, if you wake up and you see someone who's not supposed to be there and it's not
Yeah.
not a robber or something, it's a spirit energy in your room, and you don't need to necessarily be afraid of it. You can maybe say, hey, what's up? Do
Right.
you need
I mean,
something? Can I help you?
yeah, do you think the fear itself actually can feed into or create more of a problem?
I absolutely do. I do think that some spirits, especially the ones that are kind of the negative spirit energies,
Mm-hmm.
tend to feed off that fear. It seems to make the most sense to me that they kind of, part of the reason they might pop out and spook you is because they get a boost in energy from your fear, because fear is one of the
Right.
strongest energies that we have. Fear and, love and passion.
Yeah. It's like
So,
like dogs, right, will react to a human who fears the dog.
mhm.
Like if a human is afraid of dogs and they get near the dog can sense the fear smell and react in an aggressive way only because it thinks it's protecting itself. So, man, yeah, I wonder if that could be the case with spirits too.
Yeah, I think some of them, it
Wow,
seems to make sense.
cool. All right, well, thank you for doing
You're
this. This is awesome.
welcome. It was
Yeah.
fun.
And so where would you like people to go to find out more about Jessica Freeburg?
They can go to my website, just my name, jessicafreeburg.com.
Hmm.
I also have a page for Ghost Stories Inc., which is just Ghost Stories Inc.,
Right.
INK.com.
Yes.
I'm terrible about updating that one, but I do try to post events when we have those
Yeah.
on there that people can actually come and attend.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. You are an author, not just a paranormal researcher. So there's a lot of written works out there by you that people can look into.
Cheers. Thank
All right.
you.
Yeah, well, take care. And, I wish you the best with the fam and all that jazz. And so, yeah.
Thanks.
All right. I'll talk to you
Let's
later.
chat again sometime. This was fun.
Yeah. No, I'd love to. Okay. Take care.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Coffee and UFOs, two of my favorite things. If you want to find out more about us, follow us on social media, but of course, like and subscribe down below if you appreciated today's content. And for more, thanks again for tuning in. Follow me on Instagram at ParanormalNow or on Twitter, paranormal_now.